Hi everyone, Joe March here, also known as Psycho Sorcerer, and a few weeks ago I said I had an interesting and exciting announcement that I wanted to share with you guys, but that I wasn't going to share it until it was ready. That time is now. My new book, The Continuing Adventures of X, is now available on DriveThruRPG. Go check it out, go buy it. It's great. I am so excited about this one. Now you guys might be familiar with my old book, The History of Dekeldor, which is a novel, but it is in the style of a history book about an immortal who lives his life across 2 billion years of time. This has the same characters and such in it, and is a continuation of the storyline from that book. However, this is in a novel format, so this reads like moment-to-moment, action scene to action scene instead, and I haven't had a book like that that was out for mass consumption before, and I'm super proud of this one. I actually feel like this is the best story I've ever written, and probably the best thing I've ever been a part of. And look how pretty this is. Look at this. I'm very excited about this one, if you can't tell. Now, if you haven't read The History of Dekeldor, you do not need to read this to read this. And if you can only buy one of the two books, buy this one, because I love this one. I love it so much. Writing this one was fun and important and tied the role-playing game system that I wrote to the fictional story of the characters from when we built the role-playing system, and all of that was great, and all of that was cathartic, and this had a bunch of ideas and occult things baked into it as well. But this has heart. This has so much of emotionally who I am as a person, and conceptually things that I have rattling around in my brain, metaphorically mixed into what's going on to the characters. It's great. I have reread the edited versions, verified all that. This is my proof copy, so now I know the printing looks good. I'm so proud of this book, more so than any of the other books. So if you can only buy one, and if you want to buy one, buy this one. If you're a role player and you don't want to read the novels, then obviously go for the role-playing game, because that's a whole different beast. And that's been out. You guys already know about that. And if you're a completionist and you want everything, get the original History of Dekeldor as well, and you'll know the entire backstory and lore of the world. But I wrote this specifically with the idea in mind that I didn't want you to have to read the History of Dekeldor to understand anything in here. So if you are someone who already read the History of Dekeldor and loves it, you'll definitely love this because it adds to that lore. But if you're not someone who read that book, you don't need that book to read this. I don't know how many times I need to say that, but this is its own thing. You could tell from even the cover with the tentacles and things. There's a lot of Lovecraftian inspiration in what happens here. It's a combination of sort of like, I would say superhero-esque, but I mean in power level, there definitely are sketch characters. They're not superheroes, but there's definitely like high power action mixed with Lovecraftian horror. And if that's what you're into, you're going to like this. If you're a fan of the old Dekeldor skits that I've done on the CDs and whatnot, this is also a continuation of this. This is that same character, Dekeldor X. At the end of the skits, the last skit I ever put up here, he said he was going to go out to another place that was the far Elder Realms. This is the story of what happens to him in those Elder Realms. So if you were a fan of Dekeldor and you wanted to see what happens next, that's this. If you were a fan of the History of Dekeldor and you wanted to know what happened to X specifically, and I'm not going to say what the difference between Dekeldor and X is if you haven't read this and you haven't watched the other things, because that's a spoiler. But if you wanted to see what happens to X after everything that happened here, that's what this is about. So again, anyone who's down with the lore, this is awesome from that perspective. And anyone who just likes the type of material I put out, this really encapsulates a lot of my heart and soul. So check it out. That's really all I had to say. I just wanted us to be excited. Hey, be excited with me about this. And even if you're someone who's not going to check it out, just be excited for me. This is awesome. Oh, and if you ever wanted a window into like why I couldn't just say this is coming out. I wanted to be able to hold it first of all and show it. But why I didn't just say this is coming out and give you guys a time, it's because when you're getting your final proofs, You gotta check them first. You can't say something's out till it's actually out. Here's what the first proof looked like. What? It's got my name on it. The back is right. The sides are jank. Look at the difference between the original one and the corrected proof. So this came. I was like, hey, in 2 weeks I'm going to say. Then this came, and I was like, I guess I'm not going to say what's going on. Now, with some more corrections, it's finally ready for release. It's available. Drive through RPG. The link is in the description. Check it out. You won't regret it. I love you guys. Have a good one.